Chairman Larson, Ranking Member Graves, Chairman DeFazio, Ranking Member Graves, thank you for the opportunity today to discuss aviation safety and the issues surrounding the Boeing 737 MAX. I also want to take this opportunity to express my sincerest condolences on behalf of the entire FAA to the victims and their families of both Ethiopia Flight 302 and Lion Air Flight 610. I want to emphasize at the outset that the FAA welcomes scrutiny that helps make us better. That is how our global leadership in aviation safety will endure. As you all know, the FAA grounded the US 737 MAX fleet on March 13, 2019. That decision was based upon crash site findings and satellite data that together indicated some similarities between the Ethiopian and Indonesian accidents that warranted further investigation of the possibility of a shared cause. And I will focus my remarks today on events since the grounding, in particular the various ongoing reviews of the FAA's processes and the work being done towards safely returning the 737 MAX to service. Our commitment to safety and fact-based, data-driven decision-making has been the guiding principle in all of this. After the grounding, several reviews were initiated to assess the FAA's processes, separate from evaluating any particular technical fix for the 737 MAX. On March 19th, Secretary Chow asked the Department of Transportation's Inspector General to conduct an audit of the Boeing 737 MAX 8 certification, with the goal specifically to compile an objective and detailed history of the activities that led to certification. That audit is ongoing with the cooperation of the FAA. Secretary Chow, on March 25th, announced the establishment of a special committee to review the FAA's procedures for the certification of new aircraft, including the Boeing 737 MAX. The special committee is an independent body whose findings and recommendations will be presented directly to the Secretary and the FAA Administrator. On April 2nd, the FAA launched a Joint Authorities Technical Review, JATR, to review the certification of the 737 MAX Automated Flight Control System. The JATR is chaired by former NTSB Chairman Christopher Hart and comprises a team of U.S. experts and international aviation authorities. The 737 MAX return to service is not contingent on these reviews. Rather, the reviews are geared towards developing systemic improvements for the future. Now I'll talk about the FAA's efforts to safely return the 737 MAX to service here and abroad. As the FAA discussed in an informational notice for 737 MAX operators on March 20th, Boeing has been working on a service bulletin that would specify the installation of new flight control computer operational program software and has developed flight crew training related to this software. On April 12th, the FAA met with safety representatives of the 3 US-based commercial airlines that fly the Boeing 737 MAX, as well as the pilot unions for those airlines. And this unprecedented meeting was an opportunity for the FAA to hear individual views from operators and pilots. The FAA recently solicited public comment on a draft report prepared by the FAA's Boeing 737 MAX Flight Standardization Board. That board consists of pilots, and we use it to evaluate Boeing's proposed training associated with Boeing's proposed software enhancements for the 737 MAX. On May 6th, we initiated a multi-agency technical advisory board, or TAB, to review Boeing's MCAS software update and system safety assessment. The TAB includes experts from the US Air Force, NASA, Volpe, and the FAA. And none of these experts were involved in the original certification of the 737 MAX. The TAB's recommendations will directly inform our decisions on the 737 MAX fleet's return to service. And next week, on May 23rd, the FAA will host a meeting of Directors General of civil aviation authorities from around the world to discuss the FAA's activities toward ensuring the safe return of the 737 MAX to service. This meeting is part of the FAA's efforts to work with other civil aviation authorities to address specific concerns related to the 737 MAX, in keeping with the FAA's long-standing cooperation with our international partners. As our work continues, I want to offer this assurance. In the U.S., the 737 MAX will return to service only when the FAA's analysis of the facts and technical data indicate that it's safe to do so. This concludes my prepared statement. Welcome your questions.